Hi everybody, Russ and My Hammers 11. Hope you're all safe and well. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, hitting the bell icon so you're made aware anytime we put new content on. As always, I'd like to thank our lovely channel sponsors, Untuck It. Check them out in the description below. Today's guest, one of the Any Old Irons group. I'm really proud he's coming on because we have a good old chat. It's Pat. How are we doing, Pat?
I'm very well, thank you, Ross.
How have you been in this sort of weird world we live in at the moment with all the COVID stuff that's going on in the world?
I'm not doing too bad, to be honest. I must admit, the first lockdown last year was more of a novelty more than anything else. It was something we never experienced before. And the weather was good. It was spring, and I was able to get out in the garden and do lots of things and find lots of things to do, cupboards to clear out and garages to clear and so on. And that was good. And then the lockdown ended and I was able to do more things, get out and so on. When the second lockdown started, the novelty worn off, and I don't know. It's been a very weird experience this time. I kept myself busy. I go out every day for a long walk or a cycle or whatever. I come back and the weather's fine enough. I do some gardening. I do a lot of reading, and also what I have discovered at this time is I've developed an interest in cooking. I got a present for Christmas from my daughter Catherine of a Dishoom cookbook, an Indian cookbook. So I decided to start going through the recipes. The only trouble I find doing cooking from recipes, the amount of ingredients you've got to get. And I just spent ages walking around the supermarket trying to find all these different ingredients. And seed and paprika and what have you. So now I'm shopping online. I just look at the recipe, copy it down onto the supermarket checklist need. There's some nice person at Tesco goes around the shows, gets all the things for me, and delivers them to me. So I spent last Saturday, for example, where I normally spend my Saturdays football and racing and TV and so on. I spent 4 hours in the kitchen cooking a curry, and it was brilliant.
Oh, I can imagine it was lovely. I know exactly what you mean by all the ingredients, particularly for Indian food. There's so many spices, more. It's the spices I can't count. There's so many of them. And obviously the Any Old Irons stuff keeps you busy as well. Very busy by the looks of it.
It is, yes. We got a group going, and what we've been doing during the lockdown is trying to keep contact with all the members as best we can. So we have been, we do a news sheet which I edit along with another person, Joe. We do it together, and we send that out once a fortnight to people. And it takes about a week getting that out, to be honest, but it's good fun doing it and keeps me occupied. The West Ham have been brilliant as well because they've provided lots of phone calls and emails from players and members of staff there. Two people in our group, because the whole point of Any Old Irons is to support people over 60 or West Ham supporters. So a lot of our members might be living on their own, quite lonely. So of course, them getting a phone call from a player in the middle of the day when they're not expecting it would quite a thrill for them.
I think it'd be a thrill to anyone at the moment, to be honest, Pat. The way we're playing, to be fair, we're doing all right.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, quite happy on Saturday.
I don't think I could cope with the lockdown and being like West Brom in terms it's a great thing. It's a great thing, and I love the things with the as you said, the fact that the club are getting involved with the Any Old Irons, group and stuff. So, and obviously you have so many ex-players, and I've seen, obviously you've had interviews with Russell and Ray and various others. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant, isn't it? As you said, this time it's really needed with everything that's going on. As you said, like a phone call from someone in the middle of the day unexpectedly, it must just light up some of these people's lives in terms of what they have going on at the moment, non-West Ham related, of course.
One of our members lives on her own, and I think it was November time, she got a phone call from David Moyes. It was excellent.
Okay, good old Moisey. I love David Moyes, and he's doing well. He's doing well, isn't he? He's got this team. He's got them going, Pat, and he's got them going. I love it.
Yeah, very much. I liked him when he was here the first time as well, but unfortunately it didn't work out for him the first time. But he's come back and he has a good policy, getting his own players in now, and they're playing for him, and and they seem to be responding to what he wants of them.
Definitely, and there's a something which hasn't happened for many years now. Is there's a bit of fight? There's a fight in the team. There's a togetherness, and it's a bit like the old days. Not the old, but the old days for me, sort of the early '90s teams and stuff like that. I love it. I think it's there's so much left in this team, and so we'll see where they end up by the end of the season. We'll see where they go. We'll see.
It's nice at the moment to be looking at the top half of the table and not bottom half of the table.
I love the fact that I can sort of, on the BBC website, I don't have to scroll at all. It's just, we're just there. It's brilliant.
After the match on Saturday when we beat Spurs, I was working on the computer in the afternoon doing the news sheet, but I had one tab open at the top, which is the Premiership table. Never and again, I just clicked to that and sat back and looked at, yes. They carried on working.
I keep checking it just to make sure there's not been any problems. Just there hasn't been a recount by Liverpool or anyone like that, and just like a Trump type election. And I don't mind stopping the count now. If everyone wants to stop the count, I'll take that and take fourth. That would be best team in London. I'll take that. So let me just put this on. Sorry, Pat, I'm just going to mute you. So the first question I'd like to ask you, Pat, is why West Ham? Why is West Ham your club? Why do you support the mighty Hammers? What's your story, Pat?
I was very fortunate enough to be born in Whitechapel, and at the age of 7, we moved to Canning Town. And at the age of 8, my father took me to my first West Ham game. And my recollections of that are very, very dear. But I have a program here because somebody bought a program for me recently. And having said that, I put it down. Here it is. West Ham v Wolves in 1958. And my memory of it is just that we arrived to the ground. I think my uncle John stopped off the pub on the way along. And we got there just before kick-off. And I remember standing at the back. I think it must have been the South Bank. And all I could see in front of me was legs. So I said to my dad, I can't see anything. To which he replied, just push your way down the front. So I weaved my way through a sea of legs, and then somebody picked me up and said to the bloke in front of him, here, mate, pass them over your place. So I was body surfed over everyone's head right down the front. Now, when I got to the front, there were loads of kids there, and I was feeling quite terrified and frightened of it, having been to a match before. And I stood there, and I can remember somebody going past on the other side of the fence, and they're selling programs or peanuts. But he says to me, hey, son, hello there. You an Hammer supporter? And I said, no, I support West Ham. To which he burst out laughing, everybody else burst out laughing, and I felt even more embarrassed. But it was an evening game, and I can't remember much about the game, obviously, but there was a colour, the atmosphere, the shouting, the singing. I was hooked, definitely from then on.
Yeah. And from 1958, 68, 78, 88, 90. Wow, that's a fair. You get less for murder, don't you, Pat? To be honest, less for murder, to be fair.
Well, actually, what happened was in 2018, I realised it was my 60th anniversary, and at the start of that season, we were playing Wolves. So I contacted the West Ham programme, just said a little note through to them saying, this is my 60th anniversary of watching West Ham. So they asked me to write a little article for it, which I did, and sent photographs, which they put in the programme. And then they sent me 3 tickets for the game. Myself and my daughter and another friend of mine went along to the match. We were taking pitch side before the game, had photographs taken with Matthew Rush and other people, and interviewed or talked to on the microphone there by different people. That was absolutely fantastic experience. Really, really good. It was fantastic what they did.
Fair play. That's lovely. I love stuff like that, and and stuff like that gets doesn't get noted as much as it should do. They do a lot of stuff like that, and as you said, 60 years. God, 60 years. Oh, Pat. Oh, Pat. Bless you. 60 years, man. 60 years. Fair play.
You've good memories.
Lots of good memories, yeah. But I mean, you lived through the golden age. You've been a fan through the golden age. Yeah, obviously the 80s, and then what we've had in the and then obviously the resurgence this year. That's it. We're back. We're back in the big time. And if you don't mind me asking, Pat, how old are you? Because I think you might be our oldest interviewee, I believe.
I am 70 and will be 71 in 2 weeks' time.
You're not. Sorry, Pat. You're not. Nah. Sorry. You're second. You're second. Now, obviously what we try and do is we try and get people on and we get them to do their Hammers 11. So picking the players that they've been alive to see him play. Now, to be perfectly honest, Pat, you have probably the hardest job in that you've seen a lot of good players play for West Ham and maybe even come back and play again for West Ham. So, and I can see you've been writing them down. I'm really intrigued to go through your Hammers 11, to be honest. We'll start off between the sticks. Who's in goal for the Pat 11? That's the question I want to ask you.
Well, if I can say, I started doing my best 11, and I had Billy Bonds, Trevor Cooking, Martin Peters, Jeff Hurst, Mark Noble, and I thought everybody's got that, so I tried to do it. It's a novel approach. So what I've done is I picked my best 11 players who were all born in West Ham or in East Ham, so all local players. Okay,
nice.
So I go back to goalkeeping, and I go way back here for this one. The first match I ever went to see, the goalkeeper was Ernie Gregory.
Ernie Gregory
was goalkeeper until 1938, but then the war, he was involved in the forces during the war, but he had a West Ham debut again, 46, and he played up to 1959. And then when he retired from playing football, he went on to the coaching staff of the reserve team, then the coaching staff of the first team, then into admin, and he actually retired. I think it was only not was 2007, 2008. I think it was he retired. So he had a long career at West Ham.
Incredible.
51 years altogether.
Incredible. There's certain people like that who have been around the club for forever. I'm thinking someone like Tony Carr as well. I mean, Tony Carr was, I think, playing and obviously the academy director he became, and Ernie Gregory. I've had lots of, obviously we've interviewed lots of ex-players, and he comes up quite a lot with the older lads. He was a bit of a character by all accounts in terms of him being at West Ham, a real character and a real stalwart of West Ham. But good shout, great shout, love it. Okie dokie. So let's go. Who's next? You go for the team as you've got them down.
Okay. Two fullbacks. I've got John McDowell, who was from East Ham, and he played from West Ham from 1969 to 79. About 250 appearances.
Wow.
So he was there quite a long time. And then I've got on the other defender, in town. Now Frank Lampard Senior, this is.
Yeah.
Now Frank had over 600 appearances for West Ham. And actual fact, when he was a kid, he lived 2 doors away from me, because I live in a place called Liverpool Road in Canning Town, and Frank lived 2 doors away from me. And a couple of a quarter mile down the road was David Essex. So there's David Essex and Frank Lampard was part of our football gang in the street, and crickets who played in the street and what have you. And eventually Frank and David Essex both got selected to play for West Ham boys. So from then on, while we were playing football and knockouts in the streets, they'd be walking past us with their West Ham bags, heading off to West Ham for training.
Brilliant.
But he was a great player.
Yeah. He was, and I think with Frank particularly, we did an appreciation night for him a couple of weeks ago, because I think he's one of those guys who doesn't get the credit he deserves now. Whereas obviously Billy and Trevor and Bobby, they've played, and Alvin Martin. Everyone doesn't mention Frank Lampard, and he played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games. He won, he won the FA Cups and things like that, and he just doesn't have the recognition that he deserves, I think. So it was a really well received evening, and everyone was like, there was a big call for him to have the fourth stand named after him.
But at least a corner flag anyway. Do you remember his celebration after the cup semi-final?
I think that would be poignant to have. Yeah, he could have the Lampard corner. I think that's a good shout, because usually you used to have at the old ground you used to have what they used to call Chav corner, which was where all the chavs used to. You could have Lampard corner. I think that's a good shout. I like that. That's good. That's good, because we're running out of stands now, aren't we, at the moment, to name after people? So Chav, so Lampard corner. I like it. Okay, so we'll put Lampard and Jump Down in. Let's go to your centre halves then, my friend.
Right, first one is from Glasgow, Kevin Locke, who had about 150 appearances altogether. He was tipped as the new Bobby Moore, and he played alongside Bobby Moore for a while, and then after Bobby Moore, but after a while didn't quite materialise, and he moved on. But he was a good player. He went to Fulham when he left West Ham, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then beside him, another old stalwart from way back, Ken Brown from Forrest Gate, over 400 appearances. And I remember him playing back in the late 50s, early 60s. He was an excellent defender. And he's still going strong, I believe.
Yeah, he was his. It was his birth. Was he 85 or something like that the other day? I thought.
So, yeah.
Fair play to him. We've had obviously we had Kenny on. We've had Kenny on, but not Ken. Bless him. But yeah, he's incredible person. Who did I interview the other day, and they put him in. I'm gonna have to find him now. Brian, obviously, or Stag put him in.
Yeah, that's the one to interview.
Yeah, he did Stag. Okay, so there's your goalkeeper in your back four. Midfield. Who's in your midfield?
Right, we start off with Martin Peters, who was born in Plaistow, Egan Road in Plaistow, but then he moved to Barking. He didn't actually play for West Ham Boys. He played for Barking Boys, because he was born in Plaistow, and over 300 goals. And as Ron Greenwood said, he was 10 years ahead of his time. He was a superb player.
Yeah, definitely, and that's why I love doing this whole show, because obviously I was never around to see Martin play, or Jeff or Bobby, or even Trevor and Billy. I know I don't look young enough, but it's true. And so listening to people talking about Martin Peters in such and Jeff and people like that in such sort of higher stead, it's almost like I'm learning. It's like a cathartic appearance, you know what I mean? So it's great that people like Martin gets picked. So he gets picked. Who's next?
Well, just what comparison I'd make Martin Peters today? The nearest we've got to him, I think, is Suchek. Very similar type of player, defence in midfield, and goes into the area as well. Also in midfield, Mr. West Ham, Mark Noble, the old Canny Town boy. Excellent player.
Yeah,
I know he hasn't got the same speed he had before, but he's still reliable. He's still there, and it's good. His commitment to the club over the years has been brilliant. I remember one of the first games he played was in a playoff final in Cardiff. I think we played Crystal Palace and lost, I think. I can't remember the details now. But his comment afterwards, he couldn't believe it, but he came out of the tunnel onto the pitch, see the West Ham players, all the West Ham crowd singing and cheering. He was thinking, God, I was there at one point. I was one of them. Now I'm out here. And since then, he's gone on to be a real hero character of West Ham. Very nice man.
Definitely he is. And in modern day football, there's something. I mean, not necessarily back in the day. Everyone lived around the area. Obviously, when we had Brian on it, Brian used to get his chopper and drive it to and ride it to the training ground and things like that. But for having in the modern day, having a West Ham player be a fan as well, a captain, there's something very special about Mark Noble, which we'll lose unfortunately when he's gone. When he's retired, but we should cherish the fact that he's still with us, and hopefully another season and a bit, I reckon, at least with the way he's playing.
Yeah,
definitely. Okay,
right. Who's next? I've got another name for the past. Ronnie Boyce.
Ronnie
Played from
Boyce.
West Ham 59 to 73. His nickname was Ticker. Do you know why his nickname was Ticker?
Nope.
His nickname was Ticker because he was a heartbeat of the team. They said he was a type of player in those days that if you wouldn't notice him playing, but if he wasn't playing, you'd miss him then.
Definitely, I get
and
you.
He had over 300 games altogether for the West Ham, and he scored the winner, I think, against Preston North End, didn't he, as well, 1916. 64 cup final, yeah.
Definitely, and I think with Ronnie Boyce, yeah, you're right. I mean, there's certain players every generation where they have that. But they're not in that. They're like that missing piece of the puzzle, which you didn't know you needed until it's not there. So it might be Michael Carrick, or it could have been, I don't know, Pete Butler or Hayden Mullins. You know, that type of one in the middle just does. And even, I mean, to be honest, even now Declan Rice. I mean, we know what a great player he is, but outside of West Ham, people don't think he's as good as he is. And no, he's great. But Ronnie Boyce, yeah, and I've been watching a lot about him recently because he's been picked, and I know Stag loved him. So
the old stadium last year, and there was a young lad who sat next to me in a season ticket. He's got 21. And we were chatting away during one game. I was talking about one West Ham player, I forget who it was now. And I said, he reminds me very much. I'll take a Ronnie Boyce. He said, who? I said, Ronnie Boyce. He said, who's Ronnie Boyce? I said, he played for West Ham back in the early 60s. He said, I wasn't even born then. Oh, sorry. It's only realised the age gap between people. Being a West Ham supporter so long, you sort of automatically assume everybody knows these players, but unfortunately, they don't.
Totally, I totally understand. I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same. Right. So, okay, who's next? Who's next?
Next, we've got Alan Kerbersley from Forrest Gate.
Oh, nice.
Another very, very good player.
Yeah.
His problem was, I think, when he was playing, he was competing for midfield plays with Trevor Brooking, Shire. Who else was there at the time? Jeff Pike, I think. There's quite a lot of very, very talented midfield players. So he never really got the number of opportunities he did get. He was a very good player.
Yeah. And he came back to manager, so
yeah.
Did the job for us then, kept us up that season, that famous season. Right, okay, we put Kerbs in. Who's next? Who's next then, Pat?
Well, up front, from Forrest Gate, we have Tony Cotty.
Oh, TC. Love TC.
Brilliant. Two sessions in West Ham. His first is most notable, I think, his partnership with Frank Becketti.
Definitely. And also a just a lovely bloke as well. As you said, just such a lovely guy. I love TC.
Yeah. I'm lucky enough that in the old Orange stuff we've done a few Zoom chats, and he's been involved in a few of them as well, and he comes really nice one.
Yeah, he's one of those. There's a few of them I've interviewed who have this encyclopedic knowledge of their football, of their game, of their goals and what games they scored, and he recollected like some goals he scored, and I was like, how, honestly, so many goals he scored, how can you remember? But he just did. It's incredible sort of how his football brain works. But yeah, I love him. I love TC. He's such a nice bloke, such a nice guy. Okay, so who is the last? Who's Cotty gonna in this sort of West Ham in towners 11?
Sorry,
who's the last striker?
All right, the last one I picked, not totally popular with lots of West Ham fans, but he was a good servant to West Ham while he was there. Jermaine Defoe from Canning Town.
Oh yeah.
No, Jermaine was actually, I was a teacher in Custom House, and Jermaine was in my school team for 3 years in primary school, and lovely lad, really good. Glad to see he did so well. But I remember when he left West Ham, look, it was a bit of contentiousness because he had asked for a transfer, but he admits himself he made a mistake there, and he was very badly advised as well by his agent at the time. It's a pity.
Exactly. I mean, you're totally right. He has admitted since that he made a mistake, and but him and TC up front,
Not much height, but plenty of. You get the ball in the area, you'll get lots of goals.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, they're two of the most natural finishers we've ever had at West Ham, arguably. And yeah, there's obviously we squeezed him into a 4-4-2 because that's the only graphic I can do. But that's not a bad team, Pat. That's not a bad team.
Now, in modern football, I've been at a few subs. I'm just going to name my subs.
Go on, him.
And my subs would have been Jimmy Greaves from Manor Park, Alan Dickens from Plaistow, and finally, Brian Deere from East Ham and Canning Town. Is that right?
That sounds great, Pat. That sounds like a nice little team. And as you said, we had as a guy who does a lot of stuff called Nigel Khan, and he's very much has this sort of thing of people who are in towners and people who are out of towners, and this is very much an in towner 11, so he'll be happy about that. Pat, look, I won't take you for too long because I know you got to start work on that newsletter, so I don't want you to hold out for everyone else. But thank you so much for your time. I know we've been trying to get this sorted, and we finally got it, and hopefully everyone really enjoyed it. It's great, and obviously all the stuff, the Any Old Iron stuff, is fantastic. And thank you for being you, Pat, because I love the newsletter. We sent it through the other day to me, and I love reading it. It's lovely to see what everyone's doing and everyone's keeping going. So thank you, my man. It's been great. I've really enjoyed our little chat today with you.
Well, thank you very much, Russ. It's lovely being on. A bit nervous about it first, to be honest, but it was good fun. Enjoyed it. Thank you very much indeed.
Nothing to be nervous about, my man. And obviously, thank you to everyone for watching and listening and whatnot. Whatever you do, give it a like, give it a share, give it a subscribe. And from myself and from Pat, take care, everyone. Stay safe. Wash those hands. Get your jabs. I had mine yesterday, and I'm all right. And come on, you irons. And there we go, Pat. Take care, everyone. Much love. See you soon. Bye bye.
Thanks very much. Bye.